whoever fights with monsters should see to it that he does not become one himself. And when you gaze long enough into the abyss gazes back into you. The world of The Last of Us is one of the most terrifying apocalyptic concepts out there. Unlike other zombie stories, the so-called zombie virus isn't created by some scientists. Instead, The Last of Us makes itself stand out by taking a real-life fungus that affects bugs in a similar way to the classic zombie virus in fiction, and allowing it to affect humans instead.
Well, now, there is reason to evolve. One gene mutates, and an Ascomycetia, Candida, ergot, Cordyceps, Aspergillus, any one of them could become capable of burrowing into our brains and taking control not of millions of us, but billions of us. Billions of puppets with poisoned minds.
Now, scientists have debated this for years. Cordyceps will never have the capability of getting to the level where it can affect humans. At least not in another couple million years. Yet, HBO's The Last of Us started up a wave of conversation around our own survival, and the possibility of Cordyceps ever reaching humanity. It's incredible how just a TV show can spark up this much debate around a problem that, in reality, we don't even need to address. Speaking of humanity, sometimes your biggest threat in this world is not the highly contagious virus that turns you into a flesh-eating beast. Instead, it's your fellow humans. Fedra, the Fireflies, the Hunters, and all the other groups out in the world all fight for their own survival, desperately. Some harbor civilians. Some outright slaughter them. But the world is equally as cruel to each one of them. The world of The Last of Us is incredibly nihilistic and cynical. The population has dwindled down tremendously, with no end in sight. Throughout the story of The Last of Us, the main reason you're embarking on the main journey is because of a possible cure to the Cordyceps. The concept of a cure in The Last of Us is incredibly powerful, because the world has been turned upside down to the point of no return. There truly is no cure for the mind-controlling fungi. Even if there were people immune to it, you still couldn't extract a cure from them. It's an impossible pursuit for something that simply doesn't exist. Yet, it persists. The struggle for a cure goes on and on. After the infection, the world has been separated into groups who are constantly in battle with each other. Some are more open-minded and are seeking to find some meaning to the despair around them. Some adopted controlling doctrines to keep order, and some will kill you, rob you, and move on to the next, regardless of if you are innocent or guilty. And the rest are survivors, those without a clear alliance, the ones who are truly free but are the ones who are most likely to die alone in the world. Chaos runs rampant in this world, just like the infection that plagues it. A lot of what we've come to know throughout history became completely obsolete after Cordyceps took over. Technology, electricity, communications devices, a lot of what we rely on these days became useless within a span of only a few months to a few years. Order in this world became fragmented, and twisted groups started to form. The only hope of surviving in this world is to bunker down somewhere far, far away, in a place no one even knows about. We all like to think about how well we do in an apocalyptic setting. Whether it be natural disasters or situations like this, we are completely ignorant to the fact that the things we're used to don't apply anymore. Unless you've lived in a forest somewhere far away or had survival and fighting experience beforehand, you'd most likely be either dead at the hands of the hunters, or you'd be walking around with fungus growing out of your face. But there's something that has always stood out about survival games that feature apocalyptics or very deserted lands. They are some of the most beautiful experiences out there, not because the beautiful sunsets and star-filled night skies aren't occurring constantly around us. In fact, if you went outside for once instead of playing games in your room, you'd find that the beauty of nature never went anywhere, except if you live in a big city. Because the world is so run down, and all the distractions of everyday life are taken away, with survival being the main focus, you finally start to realize how beautiful the world around us truly is. The last thing I want to talk about in The Last of Us is the soundtrack. Whether it's walking through the woods, sneaking around infected, or interacting with the characters, the music is always there to chime in and up the atmosphere. The incredible range the soundtrack has, and the incredible quality it holds is breathtaking. It is one of the best soundtracks ever made in gaming, and it really captures the unique, lonely, and difficult journey you experience in The Last of Us. It makes the tense moments of the game so much more unnerving, the simple traversal so much more comforting, and it complements the dynamic between the characters beautifully by slowly settling in just the right moments.